It's that time again. Gather round on the carpet squares, my lovelies. Sugar cookies and punch in just a little bit. But for now, it's story time with Lady Ariella in the Playroom. So, my little elver folk, it's technically past Thanksgiving. So are you ready for a Christmas story?
Yeah! Is it about Santa Claus?
No. But it's from a very famous storyteller called Hans Christian Andersen. Have you heard of him before?
Yes!
Well, that was all slander and lies, I'm sure. Anyway, our story is called The Fir Tree.
That is murder!
You say that like it's a bad thing, little dear. But it's not that kind of fir. Fir is a kind of coniferous tree, like a sequoia and araucarius.
Huh?
Exactly. So anyway, far down in the forest, where the warm sun and the fresh air made a sweet resting place, grew a pretty little fir tree. And yet it was not happy. It wished so much to be tall like its companions. Children would come and bring baskets of raspberries or strawberries and sit near the tree.
Is it not a pretty little tree?
But this made it feel more unhappy than before.
Oh, how I wish I were as tall as the other trees, and then I would spread out my branches on every side, and my top would overlook the wide world. I should have the birds building their nests on my boughs, and when the wind blew, I should bow with stately dignity like my tall companions.
For a little tree, he's wordy.
The tree took no joy in the sun, the clouds, or the birds. And when the snow fell, there came a hare who jumped right over the tree.
Boingy, 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 boingy.
The tree felt mortified. 2 summers passed, and then the hare was obliged to go around.
Boingy, boingy, boingy. Ah!
But the little tree felt no better.
Oh, if I could but keep on growing tall and old, there is nothing else worth caring for in the world.
Woodcutters came and cut down several of the tallest trees. Then they were placed upon wagons and drawn by horses out of the forest. The young fir tree wished very much to know where they went. So in the spring, when the birds came, it asked,
Do you know where those trees were taken? Did you meet them?
The swallows knew nothing, but there was the stork.
Did the stork bring a baby with it?
Sure, why not? Then the stork said,
Yes, I think I know. I met several new ships when I flew from Egypt, and they had fine masts that smelt like fir. I think these must have been the trees. I assure you they were stately, very stately.
Oh, how I wish I were tall enough to go on the sea. What is the sea?
It would take too long to explain.
So the stork flew away and brought a baby sister for a lucky young lady. Let's move on before that blood pressure medication wears off. Christmas time came, and many of the young trees were cut down.
Where are they going? They're not taller than I am. Indeed, one is much less. And why are the branches not cut off? Where are they going?
I know. I have looked inside the windows of the town. They're dressed up in the most splendid manner, standing in the middle of a warm room and adorned with all sorts of beautiful things. Honey cakes, gilded apples, playthings, and many hundreds of wax tapers.
And then? What happens then? I wonder whether anything so brilliant will ever happen to me. It would be much better than crossing the sea. I long for it almost with pain. Oh, when will Christmas be here? I am now as tall and well grown as those that were taken away last year. Oh, that I were now laid on the wagon, or standing in the warm room with all that brightness and splendor around me.
The tree would not be happy, though it grew taller every day. And winter and summer passers-by would say, "What a beautiful tree!" A short time before Christmas, the discontented fir tree was the first to fall.
Ow! Ow! Okay, I should have expected this.
The tree fell with a groan to the earth, conscious of pain and faintness. Neither was the journey at all pleasant. When the tree recovered itself, it was unpacked, and 2 servants carried the fir tree into a large and beautiful apartment. On one branch they hung little bags cut out of colored paper and filled with sweetmeats. From other branches hung gilded apples and walnuts, as if they had grown there. And above and all around were hundreds of red, blue, and white tapers, which were fastened on the branches.
What's a taper?
Well, it's either a candle or an animal that looks like a pig with a prehensile snout. I can't quite remember, but I am sure we'll figure it out in the context. Let's see here. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Silver star on top, you know the usual. Here we are. At last, the tapers were lighted.
Ooh, poor piggies.
And then, what a glistening blaze of light the tree presented. It trembled so with joy in all its branches that one of the candles fell among the green leaves and burnt some of them. But there was no danger, for they quickly extinguished the fire. And now the folding doors were thrown open, and a troop of children rushed in. They danced merrily round the tree, while one present after another was taken from it.
This is a great story.
It would be, if it ended here.
A story! A story!
Shouted the children.
Well, now, we shall be in the green shade, and the tree will have the pleasure of hearing also. But I shall only relate one story. What shall it be? Ivety-Avity, or Humpty Dumpty, who fell down the stairs, but soon got up again, and at last married a princess?
Wait a second. That's not how Humpty Dumpty goes.
Children. I'm so very sorry, but I have some terrible news for you. You see, the original story of Humpty Dumpty was a much longer tale. The legend tells us that it was the most perfect story ever told. But sadly, all but one copy was lost when the great library of Alexandria burned down. Scholars, monks, and the occasional madman kept it safe and hidden throughout the centuries. But despite their bravery, that last sacred copy was destroyed in the Blitz of London. All that remains to us is a scrap of a poem, no more than a blurb on the dust jacket.
Really?
No.
Oh.
Then the man told them the story of Humpty Dumpty, and though the children cried for another, they had only Humpty Dumpty, a story so unlike those the fir tree had heard from the birds in the forest.
So it goes in the world. Who knows? Perhaps I may fall down too and marry a princess.
And he looked forward joyfully to the next evening, expecting to be again decked out with lights and playthings. But in the morning, the servants came and dragged him out and threw him on the floor in a dark corner where no daylight shone. And there they left him.
It is winter now. The ground is hard and covered with snow, so the people cannot plant me. I shall be sheltered here, I dare say, until spring comes. How thoughtful and kind everybody is to me.
I don't think he gets what's happening here.
Most abductees don't. Not that I would know, of course.
Still, I wish this place were not so dark. It is terribly lonely here.
Squeak, squeak.
And there was a little mouse crawling to him.
Where do you come from, and what do you know? Have you seen the most beautiful places in the world, and can you tell us about them? And have you been in a storeroom where the cheeses lie on the shelf and hams hang from the ceiling? One can run about on tallow candles there and go in thin and come out fat.
I know nothing of that place, but I know the wood where the sun shines and the birds sing.
And then the tree told the little mice all about its youth. And the next night 4 other mice came with them to hear what the tree had to tell. The more he talked, the more he remembered.
Those were happy days, but they may come again. Humpty Dumpty fell down the stairs, and yet he married the princess. Perhaps I may marry a princess too.
Who was Humpty Dumpty?
So the tree related that story, and the next night many more mice came to hear what he could tell. And on Sunday a rat came as well.
Do you know only one story?
Only one. I heard it on the happiest evening of my life, but I did not know I was so happy at the time.
I think it's a very miserable story. Don't you know any story about bacon or tallow in the storeroom?
No.
Many thanks to you, then.
Is that why no one likes rats?
Well, that and the Black Death, yes. So, one morning people came to clear out the room, and the fir tree was dragged out into a courtyard. He was laid out near a garden where everything looked blooming. Fresh and fragrant roses hung over the little palings. The linden trees were in blossom, while the birds flew here and there, crying,
Tweet, tweet, tweet! My mate is coming!
Me?
Tweet, tweet, tweet! Not you!
Oh.
The tree lay all yellow and withered, with the little gold paper stars still affixed to him. 2 of the children who had danced around him on that lovely Christmas day came to play in the courtyard.
Hey, look what is stuck to this ugly old fir tree. I can just about reach it.
And he stepped on the tree with his thick boots and broke many branches off. Then the little boy took away the silver star and pinned it to his chest.
I look amazing!
And the tree thought of its fresh youth in the forest, of the merry Christmas evening, and of the little mice who had listened to the story of Humpty Dumpty.
Past. Past. Oh, had I but enjoyed myself when I could have done so. But now it is too late.
Then a lad came and chopped the tree into small pieces. The pieces were placed in a fire, and they quickly blazed up brightly, while the tree sighed so deeply that each sigh was like a pistol shot. At each pop, which was a deep sigh, the tree was thinking of a summer day in the forest, and of Christmas evening, and of Humpty Dumpty, the only story it had ever heard or knew how to relate till it was at last consumed. Now all was past. The tree's life was past. And the story also, for all stories must come to an end at last. The end. Well, my pretties, wasn't that a merry Christmas tale?
It was more of a bah humbug.
Well, didn't you learn to enjoy your life while you were still young?
Does anyone enjoy themselves listening to that story?
Touché. Did anyone learn something from this tale?
Plants have feelings, so there's no point in being a vegetarian.
Well spotted. Anyone else?
It's perfectly safe to set fire to a tree in your apartment.
Absolutely. And one more.
Always buy the artificial trees. They're less whiny.
And God bless us, everyone. Now run along outside, little ones. Today we're playing lumber mill, so make sure you put on your gloves to keep out the splinters. Or, don't. That's fine too. And you too, little one. Our tale is over, and I wish you a tolerable Christmas. Come back soon and I'll see you in the Playroom.
You've been listening to The Playroom, The Fir Tree, produced by Seat of Our Pants Players, written and directed by Dan Wenzel. The children's voices were provided by the Seat of Our Pants Players cast. The Fir Tree was Aaron Manka White. The picnicking child was Morgan Gastingy. The hare was Andrew Dell. The stork was Rebecca Scheimer. The sparrow was Adam Gastingy. The storyteller was Rick Tennant. The mouse was Andy Gastingy. The rat was Liz Music. The little boy was Ray Greenlee. The twitting bird was Jill Wenzel. And Lady Ariella was Brianna Kubi. Some music and sound effects by www.freesfx.co.uk. The Fir Tree was written by Hans Christian Andersen, and yes, that's pretty much how it goes. Happy holidays, everybody! We'll talk to you later. All right. Jill, will you please do the Patreon, thank you?
Aw, for the pre-Christmas post-Thanksgiving episode, you want me to do the thank you?
I do.
Is it because this will be going out on our anniversary?
Yes.
And is this because I am a precious gift for which you are thankful?
Absolutely.
So what's with the hat?
My scalp was cold.
We're recording in August. Also, that is not a wearing hat.
I beg your pardon?
That is a hat from which you draw names at random.
Well, not exclusively.
Will I find slips of paper with other people's names on them inside said hat?
That depends on whether I get to the inside of the hat before you do.
This conversation is not over.
No one believed it was.
As we enter the holiday season, all of us at Seat of Our Pants Players wish you every joy and goodwill to all. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, and special thanks to the individuals supporting us at the Founder of the Feast level. Happy holidays to our dear listeners.
That was very sweet.
You are so getting coal in your stocking.